They ignored me all my life, but when I finally won, they all claimed me back. The greatest silence isn't found in an empty room, it's the silence of being ignored by the people who are supposed to be your world. I'm Julian, 30, and for years, they didn't see me, they saw a liability. But the moment I won, they all suddenly claimed me back. Part 1. The weight of unseen potential. For as long as I can remember, I was the outlier, the one whose existence didn't quite fit the meticulously constructed narrative of the Hawthorne family. My father, Richard, 65, ran a hugely successful commercial real estate firm, a world defined by concrete profits and predictable returns. My mother, Eleanor, 62, presided over our immaculate suburban life, her value measured by the success and stability of her children. And then there was my brother, Ethan, 36, the golden child, a corporate lawyer, married to a financier, generating the kind of stable, marketable status that our parents understood and cherished. I, meanwhile, was obsessed with architecture, but not the kind that generated immediate, safe income. My passion was in conceptual, living design, structures that minimized waste, utilized forgotten spaces, and integrated nature. I saw beauty in overlooked industrial ruins and efficiency in minimalism. To my family, I saw chaos. The difference in how we were treated was constant and chilling. Ethan's annual bonus was a dinner party topic for weeks. My acceptance into a rigorous master's program in sustainable design was met with a skeptical nod from Richard, who suggested I use the time to network toward a real job. My dreams were always referred to as Julian's little projects, a term designed to minimize and dismiss. I lived at home until I was 22, trying to save money for my eventual escape, and during those years, I was the permanent, low-humming source of anxiety. My passion wasn't just a financial risk, it was a social embarrassment to Eleanor, who couldn't proudly list my job title at her garden club meetings. I'd spend hours drawing intricate blueprints for urban renewal projects in my small attic room. I remember showing Richard a plan once, a beautiful, radical design for converting an abandoned rail yard into a self-sustaining community hub. He glanced at the complex rendering, didn't comment on the creativity or the math, and simply asked if I had paid my half of the electricity bill yet. His silence on the substance was louder than any verbal criticism. It said, "This doesn't generate income, therefore, it doesn't matter." The years of quiet dismissal taught me a profound and painful lesson. I was only welcome in their world if I adhered to their template of success. My potential, if it didn't look like Ethan's, was a liability. The constant need for validation, which was never forthcoming, was like trying to breathe in a vacuum. It slowly suffocated the joy out of the work I loved most. As I moved through my 20s, the chill intensified. I tried to distance myself, taking low-paying internships at boutique architecture firms that focused on sustainability. My income was meager, but my purpose was absolute. I was barely scraping by, and the financial reality of my life only confirmed my family's worst fears, and their contempt. I tried to keep them informed of my progress, the small, critical wins that meant the world to me. I won a local grant for a public space design. I was invited to present at a small regional conference. When I told Eleanor, her only response was to ask if the conference provided free accommodation, because, as she put it, you really need to start being more fiscally responsible, Julian. Ethan, ever the pragmatic older brother, offered advice that felt like a slap. He suggested I abandon my artistic nonsense and apply for a facilities management role at his firm. It's steady money, Julian, he stated over the phone, his voice devoid of empathy. The kind of job where you can afford your own bills and stop worrying mom and dad. The message was clear. My ambition was a sign of my immaturity, and my pursuit of a meaningful career was a direct attack on their peace of mind. The emotional burden I felt was overwhelming. I knew I was the family secret, the one they glossed over when talking to friends. I saw the relief in their eyes every time I declined a family dinner. My absence made their perfection easier to maintain. I was a failure in their definition, and they saw me as leeching their emotional energy and resources. I remember one Christmas when Richard gave Ethan a six-figure investment portfolio, congratulating him on his sound financial judgment. My gift, a few days later, was a book on budgeting for young professionals. It wasn't the lack of money that hurt, it was the symbolic weight of the message. Ethan received trust, I received instruction. I received disappointment. What would you do when every attempt to share your true passion is met not with anger, but with cold, financial analysis and thinly veiled contempt? I started withdrawing completely. I stopped sharing my life, stopped asking for advice, and stopped trying to bridge the gap. The only thing I clung to was my work, my dream to design something truly impactful. That dream wasn't just my career, it was the proof that their narrow view of success was wrong. It was my shield and my weapon. Part 3. The cold decision and the exit. The final breaking point occurred when I was 26. I had been working in secret for almost a year on a competition submission that could change everything, the commission to design a new, eco-friendly arts complex for a major city council. The design was revolutionary, incorporating kinetic energy capture and vertical gardening. It was the distillation of everything I believed in. To submit the final physical model and renderings, I needed exactly $10,000 for materials, printing, and presentation costs. It was a high-risk investment, but the potential payoff was global recognition and the chance to build my first major structure. I swallowed my pride and went to Richard. I presented the opportunity as a business case, using his language, ROI, market validation, and future scalability. I showed him the mock-ups, the endorsements from my professors, the sheer scale of the opportunity. He didn't even consult his ledger. He just crossed his arms and looked at me with that familiar, resigned expression. Julian, he said, his voice flat, I'm not underwriting a fantasy. This is gambling, and we are not gamblers. You need a safe, predictable path. That money is earmarked for Ethan's new house extension. It's a sound investment. Yours is a hope. I need to see collateral, Julian, and all you have is hope. I stood there, feeling the blood drain from my face. I realized then that the money wasn't the issue, the lack of Ethan's involvement was. The money was only available for projects that validated their life choices. My project, born of passion and risk, was seen as a threat to the family's collective financial sobriety. I looked to Eleanor, who was filing her nails, refusing to make eye contact. Her silence was my rejection slip. She prioritized the comfort of Ethan's already massive home over the one chance I had to build a name for myself. I walked out of that meeting and never looked back. I didn't say goodbye, not to Richard, Eleanor, or Ethan. I grabbed my laptop, my sketchbooks, and the few clothes I owned. I took the bus that night and never returned to the house. I left home with nothing, but I carried the weight of their rejection, and that, ironically, became the most valuable asset I would ever own. I was erased from their perfect world, but I was finally free to create my own. If your family had the resources to fund your dream but refused, claiming it was an act of tough love, would you ever be able to trust their motivations again? The next 4 years were a brutal, solitary apprenticeship. I slept on floors, cleaned studio spaces for rent, and worked multiple minimum wage jobs just to fund my designs. The $10,000 I needed for the commission, I scraped together through sheer grinding. $1,000 from designing a friend's website, $300 from selling old furniture, $2,000 from a competition prize. Every dollar was stained with sweat and the memory of their dismissal. I submitted that City Arts complex design, working out of a damp, windowless garage that doubled as my bedroom. I didn't win the grand prize, but I won the runner-up prize for innovation. That small victory, which they never knew about, was the first chink in their armor. I used that prize money and the publicity to secure my next job, an impossible, low-budget commission to convert a toxic waste brownfield into a sustainable community farm and education center. It was a project everyone else deemed impossible, but I saw it as a spiritual battle against the very real estate pragmatism that had crippled my youth. During those years, I had zero contact with my family. No birthday calls, no holiday cards. I was a ghost. The silence from them was absolute proof that their concern for me had been entirely based on proximity and their hope that I would eventually conform. Once I removed myself from their immediate sphere, their worry vanished. They preferred the convenient story of the son who ran away to the truth of the son who was building his own destiny in exile. I learned to rely only on my own judgment. I stopped chasing external validation. The pain they inflicted hardened into a shield of self-reliance. I didn't need their approval. I only needed the conviction that my vision mattered, a conviction forged in the freezing garage, miles from their manicured lawn. If the only fuel left to you was the pain of rejection, would you let it destroy you, or would you use its intensity to achieve something monumental? My life became a testament to the power of spite and purpose. Every beam laid, every sustainable system implemented, was a direct refutation of Richard's assessment that I had no collateral but hope. I realized hope was the most powerful collateral of all. The win came when I was 30, and it wasn't a slow build, it was an explosion. The brownfield conversion project, the one everyone called impossible, was a stunning, undeniable success. It was a functional, beautiful, socially impactful structure. It won the Pritzker Prize for Public Architecture, the industry's highest honor, overnight. The ensuing publicity was global. Suddenly, my face was on the cover of design magazines. I was invited to give lectures at prestigious universities. My story, the young architect who lived in exile and used radical, sustainable design to redeem wasted space, became a global sensation. I wasn't just successful, I was famous. My valuation, my personal valuation, went from struggling artist to multi-millionaire in 48 hours. I secured commissions to design major public spaces in 3 different continents. I was Julian Hawthorne, the visionary architect. The first hint that the world had changed wasn't the sound of the awards being announced, it was the ping on my long-dormant professional email account. It was from Eleanor. The subject line read, "So incredibly proud of my boy. Call me immediately." I stared at the email, rereading the phrase, "my boy." The last time she had called me, her boy, was when I was 7. The shift in their behavior was instantaneous, breathtakingly brazen, and utterly sickening. The calls and texts poured in from Ethan, Richard, and Eleanor. They didn't apologize for the years of silence. They didn't ask where I had been. They didn't inquire about the struggle. They simply began the process of historical revisionism, attempting to integrate my success into their own pre-existing, perfect narrative. Eleanor was the first to deploy the new story. She was suddenly telling everyone she knew that she had always recognized my artistic genius, and had sacrificed a significant portion of her personal space for my incubation years. The laundry room, where my ambition had been suffocated by the sound of the dryer, was now declared the sacred ground where the Pritzker winning designs were conceived. Richard, the man who demanded collateral, began telling his business associates that he had deliberately practiced tough love, recognizing my need for independence. I saw the fighter in him. You see, he claimed in a voicemail I received, dripping with false wisdom. He needed to leave the nest to truly find his power. We gave him the opportunity to prove himself. The $10,000 refusal was reframed as a calculated, high-level business strategy designed to foster my grit. Ethan was the most aggressive. He sent me a complex, effusive email detailing his firm's expertise in major asset management, and offered to handle my entire financial portfolio. He even ended the email with a casual mention of the deep, unwavering brotherly bond we shared, a bond he hadn't acknowledged in 5 years. He saw me not as a brother, but as a major new client, a 6-figure contract walking through the door. They weren't claiming me back, they were claiming my success back. They were claiming the status, the public validation, and the financial benefit that came with being the parents and brother of Julian Hawthorne, the Pritzker winner. I went to visit them for the first time in 4 years. I stood in the immaculate living room, feeling like an alien presence. Eleanor immediately started talking about the new wing of their country club, subtly suggesting a donation I could make in her name to honor my triumphant return. Richard talked about potential real estate ventures where my design expertise could be leveraged for his firm. I listened to them, watching the performance. They didn't recognize the person standing there. They didn't see the man who slept in a cold garage and ate instant noodles. They saw the golden goose, the newly discovered, highly effective resource that validated their entire existence. I was the proof they needed that they were good parents all along, despite all evidence to the contrary. They claimed me back, but only the lucrative, public version of me. I am 30 now, standing on a podium built entirely from my own grit and the bitter fuel of their abandonment. My success is undeniable, my financial security is absolute, and my peace is finally real. But the question remains, raw and unresolved. I built this empire from the pain they gave me, but when my family finally came back, did I really owe them anything? The urge to settle the score, to use my immense financial power to humble them, is strong. I could expose their revisionism, or I could simply write the checks they need to prove that money means nothing to me. But I realize that engaging with their transactional relationship, even through refusal or revenge, is still giving them power. The truth is, I don't owe them a check, an apology, or even an explanation. I owe my success to the person who walked out the door with nothing, the 26-year-old version of me who chose self-respect over conditional comfort. The real victory isn't the Pritzker Prize, it's the profound knowledge that their love and validation were worthless, and that I didn't need them to become everything. My final act of autonomy is deciding how to proceed. Do I offer the mercy they never offered me, or do I maintain the perfect, profitable silence of my new life? If the people who ignored you all your life suddenly claimed you back, desperately needing your financial power, would you finally give them the help they never gave you, or would you remain absolutely silent? I want to know what you think. Let me know your opinion in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.